Today I'm going to be talking about why so many entrepreneurs fail. Hi, I'm Zach. I've been running a marketing agency called Braxter for the last 7 years, in which we've been able to generate over $13 million in revenue for our clients. Like I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about things to watch out for if you're an entrepreneur, mistakes that you can make, mistakes I've made, and mistakes that I've seen lots of people close by to me make. The first one is focusing on the wrong things. Now, it can be very tempting to go after every rabbit we think we can chase, especially when we are people that like to solve problems, we like to go for it, we like to make sales, get things done, but we only have 24 hours in a day, and anything that distracts us from our primary goal is really just going to make more of a mess, and it's going to make us worse at the first goal that we had. So really, how many primary goals can we have? Think about it. Not really much more than one, right? You can't head in more than one direction at once. The best way you can is by delegating. But if your focus for the business is in too many places, then where is the business going? So we really just need to not waste time. No, we don't want to do too many ventures at once. And I understand I'm 100% a hypocrite for this. I have done this so many times. But it is also the number one thing that has held me back from doing better. Every time that I have then consolidated or focused into just one aspect, or even just less aspects, like going down from 4 things to 2 things, I end up doing way better. But it's not just me, we see it all over the place. Whenever a business gets too scattered in its priorities, it starts doing worse. The quality of the product suffers. People don't like it anymore. I used to come here for how great the burgers were, but the burgers aren't that great anymore because now they make chicken burgers and waffles and blah, blah, blah. And this is always the case. Now you can branch out over a very long period of time. If we think about something like Apple, they started out with just a few products, they keep building, but they stick to their own schedule. And by sticking to that schedule, they're able to keep their initial projects running at the same quality. Like, it's not typical that Apple has issues with its product quality, and that's because they've continued doing it over a set schedule for a long period of time. Even entrepreneurs that I know, I've watched them, I've seen them, and I've told them, don't do that, that's too many things. Are you sure you're gonna be able to handle that many things at once? And then they end up getting no traction from it. So I don't want you to be the same. I know we're all like this because we like solving problems, and so we see another problem to solve and we try to go for it, or a client will ask us, hey, do you also sell this? And then we say yes, because we want to go ahead and make another sale, but in actuality, it's hurting us in the long run. So we need to try and focus on what we came here to do, which is to solve problem number 1. The second and the third things are delegating too early and delegating too late. Now, in the case of delegating too early, this is definitely something that I have done myself. So for example, I was at one point making about $10,000 a month. And so I felt comfortable with taking on some additional help to get contractors that were handling either design or some basic development. But the problem was I wasn't that good at hiring yet. So I took on a few people that were at a lower cost because they were working overseas. And at first it was okay, it was slightly helpful, but in reality I should have been continuing to churn through different contractors until I was able to find people working at the quality that was actually going to really help me. But instead, I thought it was a workload problem as opposed to a work quality problem. So I hired more people. And so eventually I was making $10,000 a month still, but not really getting much profit out of it. And I didn't want to fire people that I had brought on, because I would always blame myself, as we are supposed to in entrepreneurship, because we are the leaders. And so I would wait too long to get rid of them until I couldn't keep them anymore because I was making no money. I've also seen this happen to various business owners that I've worked with, in which they handed off key tasks that really they should have been handling themselves until they were able to find adequate enough talent. They would hand it over to new people that they thought knew what they were doing, and unfortunately they didn't know what they were doing. So then the business revenue started to decline, and then of course it's too late. Bad things are already happening. Now you've got to also fire this person or put them in a new department that they're better suited for. Try to fix that lost revenue and get it increasing again. So you don't want to do it too early. You really want to be thorough, especially with those early hires, because they're going to affect the culture, the quality of your product in its most nascent or baby state. And so you want to get that quality really, really high when you're still small, because as you get bigger in an organization, things are just going to get more and more diluted, and that dilution is just going to, what do you want to dilute? Something that was started out really good, or something that started out kind of mediocre? And then that brings us to delegating too late. Now, this is something that really needs to be taken on a case-by-case basis. For example, if you are becoming sort of the bottleneck for your business because you are really good at sales, but your ego is tied up in that you're really good at sales, and so you are just losing out on potential revenue all the time because you want to be the one who brings in the money, then that's just going to hurt yourself in the long run. In reality, even if you do hire somebody on and they're only able to achieve maybe 70% of what you could, well, that's now 70% of your result, but the majority of the benefit is still going to you, and now you don't have to work that time. So you'd probably be better off hiring 2 of those people, getting 140% of your initial results, but now you don't have to do any of that work. You can now move up the ladder back into more of a founder role and work on higher leverage activities, like hiring other people that do this type of work. Now you are bringing in much more revenue than you ever were in your initial sales role. But like I said, you don't want to delegate too early. If you're really good at sales and you need more help in fulfillment, then hire fulfillment first. You don't want to hire people for sales first and then fulfillment. Stay good at sales, keep bringing in tons of revenue, and backfill into the fulfillment side of things. And the next one is quite similar to the first point of focusing on the wrong things, but this one is doing too many things. So you might be focusing on many different initiatives that are related to your primary focus, but if you're doing too many things at once or hiring too many people at once, it's just going to go bad. Just like focusing on the wrong things, you can't do that many things at once. Multitasking is really a myth. And so you want to be able to concentrate your energy as the founder or the leader and just use it all on the things that are going to drive the business forward. The next point, I think, is going to be more suited for early stage founders, but it could also apply to some late stage founders. And this would be to just make money. Don't worry about fancy terms and buzzwords like ideal customer fit or ideal customer profile or things like that. You just need to keep selling. If you're getting started, you should actually sell to the wrong people so that you can figure out why they're the wrong people. And then from that, you're going to figure out, oh, these types of people work the best. But you would never know that unless you were comparing them to the wrong people. You don't need to have everything perfectly dialed in before you've even made a sale. So just get selling, sell to everybody that will buy it from you, because that is the first problem, and then refine it as you go. It's already hard enough to sell lots of people, and it's only going to be even harder if you're trying to sell to the perfect people before you've built up enough brand value over time. Which leads me into the last point, which is don't over optimize too early, because it's quite similar to the last one that I just mentioned, but man, there are so many people who are trying to find the perfect customers, set up the perfect systems, the perfect hiring process. And man, it is so hard to even get things perfect when you've been doing it for 10 years. So how on earth would you be able to get things perfectly done before you've even started? So don't worry about it so much. You need to make the mistakes. They're actually they're the cost of tuition in reality, which are going to get you to the level of being an experienced entrepreneur who doesn't make that many mistakes. And guess what? As soon as you solve those problems, you're gonna then have other problems when you get to a higher level. So stop worrying about getting everything perfect. Just try not to screw up too badly. Just focus on not making too big of mistakes, and then things should be okay. So just don't worry about making things perfect. You're not gonna get it perfect. And if you think you've got it perfect, you definitely got it wrong. So just keep working on it, keep improving it. Don't stress out too much. I know I over-optimized too early, so I'm kind of talking to myself on this part, but just don't be like that. Keep moving forward. You're gonna get better. Well, that's it for my ranting today. If you like topics like this that help with mindset or are quite practical, then please go ahead and subscribe. But that's all for today. Thank you.